Lemonade.
All right. We are now streaming live on Facebook. I'm your coach, Elaine Dezon, and this is my sister in love, Sylvia Blalock of Queendom Networks. And the reason why we're here today is because I am making lemonade out of lemons because my monthly workshop, the passcode on my Zoom was not entirely correct. It said one thing on the invitation, another thing on Facebook. So here we are on Facebook Live, and I'm going to roll with it anyways with the support of my sister-in-love, Sylvia Blalock. So we're going to step through a couple of topics. One being, we probably think we've probably done a live event every month this year.
Yes.
Yes, we did one in January on your birthday, one in February to talk about the event in March. We did the event in March, and here we are in April. So we're just doing it.
Yes. It was high time, and this is one of our ways of reconnecting. I would say that in this glorious instance of serendipity, I get some time to say, hey sis, how you doing? And also, it's a great opportunity for poet during National Poetry Month to be reflective. I love that the topic that we have with Coach Ed is reflection. And so I'm looking forward into delving into that with her. I'm not going to hog the mic as poets are apt to, but take it away, Coach.
Well, you know, reflection is a step towards action. And this is one of those things that I've been leaning on for many years to really think about how do I develop an awareness of what I want to do next. And, you know, we worked at a place where we had a leader who always opened her her meetings with us with a quote. And I have a quote: reflection is one of the most underused yet powerful tools for success. And this is from Richard Carlson, the guy who wrote Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And when you reflect, you get an opportunity to sweat the small stuff in a productive way, I would say. And of course, you know, if I was doing this workshop live and you didn't know me, here I am. I'm a growth mindset coach, and I truly believe energy flows where the attention goes. And, you know, I think when we talk about the business of busyness, there's a great article by, it's on my notes, but it's on the interwebs, I think on slow.com. And he did a great series of articles about the business of busyness. And he had 7 hypotheses about why we're busy. And they range from having busyness be a status symbol to having busyness as a filler for like driven action to keep us away from things we need to be attentive to. The time constraints that we all have. We just got a lot of things going on and the 24/7 nature of our world today. So there's a lot of reasons why we're busy. And, you know, just taking that moment to pause, right, and reflect is important. And so what I wanted to ask Sylvia is, as a poet, as a business owner, as a creative, soulful person that I know you, you know, what is your current practice on reflection like right now?
I've been fortunate to have a lot of journals, and here's one now.
Oh.
And I keep them very close by because I have a tendency to get caught up in my thoughts or so busy trying to express them all that things become very tangential when I need to come in. So rather than chastise myself for not being more focused or double down, as they like to say, I do stop and reflect on what was the goal that I set and how far have I come along that process. Not what haven't you done, da 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 da, but where did I start and how far along have I come? And if I have to relive the victory of it, relive the victory of it and get back here. and let's move forward. And it means that all over my apartment, I can go pick up a journal and look at what's the last thing I wrote. The one in the bedroom, the one in my purse, the one in my car. It's so helpful for that reason alone to just say, okay, I feel myself going there. Wait, what did I say I wanted to do? How far have I come with that? Okay, let's just stop and be there. And now pick that foot up and put the foot down, or just wait and don't do anything.
Right.
Be still.
Right.
It's so helpful to do it without that eating at yourself, self-judgment, the voices of other people saying, shouldn't you be in your like second home, third car by now, or, you know, second rack of grandkids or whatever. If you don't remember what the goal was and how far along you've come to, not the shifting sands of other people's expectations of you, but your goal, look at it again and look at how far you've come. You keep finding yourself in that pattern of spiral that isn't really yours. It's a spiral of stuff that is spiraling around where you actually are. You forget, this isn't my stuff.
Right.
This is where I am. And it's only when you go back over it that you realign yourself, you know, shake your compass around or your magic 8-ball or whatever.
Yeah. I definitely vibe with that. I feel that, you know, reflection has offered me the time. And since I've been doing it for, I want to say 5 to 6 years, and I have a friend who always gives me every December a new journal with pens because she knows I do this stuff. I think I have a few of the same gray journal with an arrow on it. And I don't think anything is coincidental when we put thought into it and connect these things. Like with that arrow on it, it is definitely this idea of moving the things in my head towards the bullseye of my life with this book that has an arrow on it. And I do it every 2 to 3 weeks. And it's usually the same questions. But when you continue to revisit the same questions, and, you know, I tend to do it every 2 weeks because it's like agile. It's an iterative approach to my thoughts in my head to really deepen my understanding of what I'm proud of, what I'm not so proud of because I'm not confident in the challenges ahead. And I could work out, why am I not confident? Like, what's really going on? Is it confidence? Is it skill building? Is it resource issues? Is it clarity that I'm lacking? And, you know, what kind of support do I need to bring in to help me? Hence my sister-in-law today, right? Like, what is Elaine's plan B if a workshop doesn't like go off the way she needs to because of technical issues? So having these contingencies, because I get to role play different scenarios in the safety of a time where there's no pressure. And that's what reflection has been for me, is I'm not waiting for go time or, you know, the fire drill to happen. It's really role playing those scenarios and working through it. So that way, if it happens and when it happens, because eventually it would, I've already gone through the emotional, mental, physical, spiritual upheaval of OMG to OMG, I thought about this. So I do it every couple of weeks. How about you, Sil? How often do you do this? Do you have is it like when the lightning in the bottle moment happens, or is it scheduled? Because I'm a little, like, I'm nerdy that way. I schedule everything.
So some of us are not calendar watch nerds. Time bound versus time free. I don't know if that's a good comparison at all, because some of us are just time fluid.
And I appreciate those who are much more spontaneous. Like, that's why I married your brother, because
he can't keep to a schedule.
You just need to have that element of unpredictability in your life, because that is the thing in our head, like the thing that I've created a habit on. Here comes this disruptor. Oh, we're not going to do that then? Okay. So I appreciate the way the universe gives us that.
I do too. I do too. I think that because I have a really good experiencing of being time bound versus time free, time bound being that I used to live by the scheduler. My awesome, like, I loved that book, and all of my numbers were in it and all my stuff. And when I didn't have that planner and I lost it, it was like, okay, my Franklin planner, that's it. I
The
don't know anybody's
Franklin
numbers.
Planner. Okay, for anyone not familiar with the Franklin Planner, we have to do a rewind because we might be lucky and have some folks, i.e., your niece and nephew, one day watching this. What's a Franklin Planner,
It's
Auntie
so
Phil?
true. Before the internet, there was a Franklin planner, and I lived by mine. I lived by it. It was like, if you thought Trapper Keeper made me feel like a business mogul when I was in like the 9th or 8th grade, and the Trapper Keeper was a graduation from a binder, it had folders, it had a Velcro closer,
A
and I got
pocket!
pins,
It had a pocket!
multiple pockets. Ah, I graduated then to a Franklin planner, which had a calendar, an almanac, practically had an oracle right in there. And I felt so professional and so organized to have my whole life, my from high school to college, in this thing. When I got my first job and then got some paychecks in and realized I can have like a serious situation here, and had my bigger than life Franklin planner with the numbers of all my teachers and classmates and blah. Should I ever get in a debilitating car accident, mind you? One day, the idea that I didn't need to know as much as what was in there to do what I needed to do made me feel inadequate. And how much of what I need to do can I just keep in my head and not have to have this? And it decluttered the busyness of what I thought I needed to know and what I needed to have and what I needed to do, while at the same time finding different ways to develop that validation practice that I was having. I need a big thing that shows that I have big things to do. So when I got Google Drive and realized I could like have that digitally, I jumped on it. Oh, of course. Now I can really be, organized and have stuff. The ways that we validate our time and how we spend it by having lots of little wheels and gears and dates and things that signify that there is a busyness that I can point to as valid somehow helped me feel like I was productive or someone purposeful. I set a goal with you in January, all that busyness to a job, never to my own business, because I was busy with all those things and I had them even on my own computer, but not to organize my things. Mm-hmm. When I said I want to be a better leader, I had working knowledge to the nth power of tools to help me be more organized than my poetic heart has a tendency to be, without being someone that works that way when I started using it for me. Did I? Mm-hmm. And that's and that I think is how having the tools and being able to flow through this, feeling busy and being kind of compressed by time to being wide open, with being able to flip on a dime, pick your hair out and throw some beads on and be who you are in that moment and speak to, sitting here live on Zoom, the CEO of a California limited liability corporation when just 4 months ago, we were deciding that that was my goal. Literally on my show, we sat on my show and said, my goal truly is to be a better leader. And month by month by month, we've taken the steps so that those tools that I used to make me feel busy, I learned how to use to organize other people's data so well that now it's like, oh, I can pretend like I'm working at Benchmark with my own purple stuff. And even the pens are purple. I love this.
Right.
It feels like I'm playing Office with my own things.
Right. And what I love that you're describing is that's the game. That's the game. You know, we think about the game of life that was a board game. We
Yes.
are playing the game of life every single day. And I love how you were able to look at the conversation on your birthday in January and your possibility and vision of being a leader, and how you're summoning up this energy with your time and the money, the creativity. You're enjoying yourself in this process. You're building relationships with people that you have been in touch with, those you haven't been in touch with so much, and developing new relationships. And overall, I just see you spiritually growing because it shows in your work. And when all of those energies are directed at the being a better leader, the outcome and result I see today is a woman who on short notice is promoting her LLC here with me. Boom. Physical reality.
There it is. There it is.
The description about how for all of the tooling, sometimes you just need to wait for that moment to happen where the tools work for you. It's time to reflect. And it's time to think about the next step in what I need to do. And today you were on point, ready to sit down, ready to hit play on a playlist before my call came in. And you're like, okay, family needs me. There's another call I need to answer. And here you are being in relationship with me to reflect on the things that we've been dreaming about doing in our life. And we're doing it. And when we're done, we'll go forth and do the next thing.
I do have one little tiny correction.
Uh-oh.
I am the worst at self-promotion.
Yeah.
I am the worst. But I cannot stress enough that, number one, family coming first is something that is well, Elaine knows. It's one of those so personal secrets of my heart. I must be a better member of my family. She is my sister, so I will come through no matter what. But there's something else. And if we're going to put that on a business term, it would be not so much to promote myself as to at least promote the notion that I got one of the best coaches available to help me set the steps to be going into the next step that I am. If people wonder, how did I get here? It won't be she had this idea and kind of ran for it. It was that I got actual coaching. I actually set goals and set tools to be able to implement what I want to do. So it is also self-serving to a degree to say, there is a coach that from January to April, where prior to January, there was a decade of getting here. A decade. We know it because I returned from Las Vegas with nothing but what was in my car. And when we started this in January, you were so open and letting me find my way, but providing the tools I needed to get there. I submit to you that what I am doing in this moment is reinforcing that not you're a tool, because that's how that's going to come out. That's how it'll sound. But the resources available to make me possible were the best available and then some. Note Exhibit E, if you will.
Ah, well, I think that's one of the greatest relationships someone can have is one with, uh, that's on Team Sylvia or Team Elaine, right? Where
Mm,
here we are really understanding our call to the world and the contribution we're willing to make.
mhm.
And the one
Thank
you're
you.
making with building a community of creatives, having a platform to read poetry, bringing in other poets to share, as well as thinking even bigger, like how can poetry change education? How can poetry change the ability for females to find other, to be business founders? There's so much richness there that, how can I not support that vision? And how can I not support my sister, like in that process? So it's definitely been, we've been supporting one another for
Thank
many
you.
years. So,
Many. You-
this is all old hat, but just evolved now for this new time when, especially last year in a virtual world, how do you do that? How do
Yeah.
you, how do you transform what you're doing into something that can have more outreach because you can't see people in person? So
Yes.
it's definitely, I think, something that's beautiful that's transpired. And, I appreciate how, we always talk about willingness, right? That willingness to say yes to things that you normally would be like, no, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that.
If if you want to make a way, you will make a way. Now, I could have probably put on a blazer, but then I thought, truly, an authentic conversation about reflection and how we get here and presentation, as well as showing up and then bringing to bear what you come with.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine someone, uh, if I could be your hype man forever, I'm that person. I will be the purple haired chick right there on the sideline for Club Ed. There's something to be said for having the history to share. And how can you not share such a rich and vivid history? It isn't as though we just kind of ping pong this stuff until we got here. So much has moved forward
Mm-hmm.
as a result to honest conversation and feedback, the giving and receiving. I appreciate that when it's on a professional level and it must be said, you are a poet about how you will just deliver it. And that is because I'm your sister. When we did this live on the air, it wasn't that, come on, girl, blah, blah. It was,
Oh,
we really are professionals about this. And we really do want to see you get where you're going. So we took the steps and I got the valuable coaching. How can you not be able to say from the other side of that, look, look.
well, I mean, I just think, reflection is the very first step to harness those energies we talked about, where,
Yes.
it's the first step. And I would say, you know, the other benefit I find with reflection is
Mhm.
the writing, the the trialing of how you phrase things, the word selection, where after many years now, when I say things, it comes with such just knowing this is how I stand, knowing that this is what's important to me, because it's a trend in my reflection journals. Like it's very clear that, you know, uh, being a kind and loving family member, even though it was never always said, there's always reflections on, am I showing up for the kids in a way that is helping them be successful and will educate them in how they operate in this world?
Mhm.
And watching those reflections and reading those reflections change over time, from where it's like, oh yeah, they flipped from their back to their tummy, woo, tummy time, to before they go out, what do I need to tell them to be safe outside of these doors? And to see that reflection change over the last 6 years has been very, it's a bit painful, because you don't want to have these conversations with these young kids about safety in a way that is, life threatening, but you have to be very real. And you write, like I would write, how would I say this to the older 10-year-old? How do I say it to the 7-year-old? And, if they're by themselves, how do they operate together? And I just found that the woulda, coulda, shoulda, the news feed, the bombardment of social media images, everything that I'm up against on this issue can derail me from communicating this message that is so necessary effectively, that taking that pause to reflect and thinking about it over like 4 to 6 weeks, and arriving at a place like, this is how I want to say it in the most gentlest, loving way, that there are people who won't give you the opportunity to show up and be yourself because you represent something else.
Wow. Wow. And yet you manage.
And for me, that's the power of taking the pause and finding the right place. It's, I'm not going to write this stuff around. I'm not going to write in the backyard where they're playing gleefully, because then that's going to distract me from, the thing I really want to ponder. I want to see them be joyous in the playground, so I won't reflect, because it's time for me to be present and watch them play. And the trick is when can I find reflection to offer them more opportunities just to play and be kids and give them the right message? And so I'm going to go on a Starbucks run, go to the Starbucks run, sit in the parking lot and think about, okay, this is how I want to say it. And just spend 10 to 15 minutes drinking. It's like, it's kind of like rushing to do your homework before you go to school, but just enough time to really do a good job at it and get, hopefully, the B+/A- that you think you need. So I'm like just doing it so that way, when the time is right to talk about it, I'm prepared. And the chatter of fear quiets down because I've practiced the message, and I'm going to be courageous to deliver it. So I feel like that is always one of the other benefits for reflection is over time, you can work and noodle through something that is so important. And without that time, you can never say the message you want to say.
Now that was very well said. I mean, I know how that sounded, but okay. but truly, I think that just the in the world that we're living in today, I see what you're saying and hold space to that with zero experience, and so much of the fear for what you must experience in the messaging that you have to deliver. Having the opportunity to stop and be reflective of it and mindful of it is such a gift to yourself, rather than plunging in terrified. Because you're more, that is when we who are thought to be time bound understand the value of time, that you give yourself that time to breathe into what you have to do and be mindful. That is not time bound at all. It is time collaborative. You do not work against it or race it.
Did you create these time bound, time free, time collaborative? Oh, must.
Time bound and time free versus time collaborative.
I love it.
Came from a conversation we were having. I cannot say that I came up with the actual term time bound. I did come up with the term time free as an alternative to time bound in a college course I was in. Time collaborative came up later after the courses were over, and I haven't seen it used by someone else, but time collaborative being that we do not fight time. We work with it in a way that benefits us as well as respects it. Not chasing someone else's time clock, nor living by the calendar, by the clock, and then completely lost when we don't know our schedules. We know what should be happening. Something should be happening. What is of relevance that we are rushing ourselves for no reason, versus those things that must happen at a certain time because something else is dependent upon it. Time interdependence and the like. As I started managing my own time better, I started finding out, what am I stressing myself about that isn't necessary for this? This, you must be here by this time because I said so, and if you don't do it, then I will be feeling some way about you. Doesn't mean that the game starts at that time. It's just that they want to be in control of your time. Maybe I'll be there, maybe I won't. And other things, if it is important to me to respect that you are this way for whatever reason without judgment, then make it clear to yourself that you are choosing to do this, and don't get caught up in the why, where, whatever's of it, or else time becomes something that you have to manage or be managed by and fall short of, because time isn't waiting for you.
And I love those terms, like, time is that energy in life. And when your relationship is in a language of time collaborative, and having time like be personified a bit, like the personification of time in that term is, I never thought of it that way. And like I'm picturing now, time can be my homie.
Yes. See? And this is how I see it. This is how I came up with time collaborative. It does not have to be the enemy. Time is on my side when I'm working with it, when I am not allowing myself to be over controlled or manipulated with it. When these opportunities happen, you gave me some notice to do this, and this opportunity blossomed right in front of me. That is time collaborative, because what am I going to do with my hair? Whatever happens with it, I guess, because look, the purple is kind of working. Maybe I should put on a jacket. Maybe you should look like you're someone that's actually at home running her business, wearing what she wants to wear. How about that?
How about that?
So slap some face on, because, and what you find is it's not your enemy. You find that it will work with you. If you are giving yourself a lot of time and you don't need a lot of time, you just think you do, then you will find things to distract from what you're actually trying to do. It's beautiful being able to see time as someone amorphous that you collaborate with and work within the guidelines of understanding that those 24 hours are going to happen no matter what your monkey brain does. Whatever happens with you and how you manage time, if that is a human construct, then using this human construct to your own detriment, you're going to need more health breaks, more mental health breaks, lots more mental health breaks if you keep that up.
Well, I love that. I mean, that's just such a great term. That's such a big key learning for me today in terms of reflection, and that, the energy of time that I put into reflection is very much time free, because I'm free in the moment as I do it. It's time bound because I do believe in that agile, iterative approach that, as I reflect, did the things I planned on doing over the last couple of weeks work? No. What do I need to tweak it? And at the same time, when there's a possible miss, that it's okay. I can collaborate with time to reschedule.
You are more time collaborative than you are time bound.
Yeah.
When something must happen at 8 and 9, and it must be within the construct of the hours assigned, or else it's a no-go. And these people. And you know the ways in which things are structured because they are time bound, and because you are able to morph your time in a flexible way, you are still time collaborative.
Mm-hmm.
And too judgmental over the fact that structure sounds like time bound.
Mm-hmm.
When structure works with you,
Right.
have structure. So it is not bound, it is collaborative to you.
Mm-hmm. And, I think of the term busy, it's, I just feel like sometimes there's this possibility of good busy. Not all busy is bad. And,
Yes.
I think it just depends on your relationship with time and what busy means to you, because busy to me is a natural state for many. And I don't really put too much on it. And when folks say, I know you must be busy, or there's the assumption of busyness at this point in our society today. And it's something that I would just love to walk away from, that, hey, just what are you up to? Right? What are you up to right now? Because we're all up to something. It could be a lot of things. It could be not so many things, but I feel we're all busy with something, whether it's work, whether it's hobbies, whether it's stuff I'm thinking about, or I'm just busy trying to mise en place my dinner before Top Chef with my kids tonight. Okay. So everybody's busy. I would just love to really encourage people to just say, thank you for waiting. Thank you for giving me the space to show up, and just be very generous with the idea that let's all collaborate with time a little bit. That's a great, man. See, this is why I show up. That's why I show up. So I know we're trying to wrap at around 1:30, and I just wanted to ask, what are you up to, Sil? Like, what's next on Blog Talk Radio, Poetry in the Raw? Like, what are we doing with that part of your life?
I am creating content throughout National Poetry Month, which is this month. In addition to, I was supposed to write one poem a day for 30 days. So instead, I wrote one poem on April 1st and like 3 poems on April 4th. And now I'm pretty sure I have 7. I will have 30 poems by the end of the month. See them. I am preparing the paperwork for Queendom Network LLC, which went ago the last week of March, hallelujah, so that I can start requesting funding. It would be nice if I could just pay with clouds and air, but I'm going to make sure that when I present what this is and what it does, how much it will make, and that we need money now, that who could refuse me?
That's right.
I'm ready to do something radical with the notion that we're not starving artists, that there is an opportunity to use the tools that you use for poetry to actually have a job as a contractor. Why be a driver when you could actually be someone's trainer?
Mm-hmm.
And that too is something that we're doing. So right now I am cradling Queendom Network and using uprising-radio.com as the promotion vehicle to getting Queendom Network what it needs as a company. And I am so ready for this.
I love it. I love it. And I always believe that life is always whispering opportunity to us. And as you are winding down your conversation around what you're up to next, it's by no accident that you're talking about money, which this month is also National Financial Literacy Month. And so when you think about what you just said about how we can leverage our creativity in a way that generates money energy for the sustainability and livelihood for something that many would say, that's a hobby, that's a soft skill, la la. No, it's a tangible skill that has outcomes and results that show up, and there should be money energy behind it. And so for me, just having that tie-in, this is not all staged, y'all. This is like very attentive, like,
you don't know
this is
how
all very,
unstaged this is.
this is very fluid because I'm doing a money, a money energy book study next month called The Energy of Money by Dr. Maria Nemeth is going to be the book in May that I'll be facilitating a book study on every Tuesday, beginning May 4th. So before we go forth and like celebrate on Cinco de Mayo, we're going to tee up the first module of principles that help you align. How do I leverage the energy of money to fuel the outcome and results I envision into physical reality? So there's nothing better than seeing what you're thinking of show up in ways that you can see, hear, smell, touch, or feel. Because that's the real feeling of completion on a dream one has. So I think that idea of National Poetry Month and National Financial Literacy Month all in April gives us great pause to reflect. If I'm somebody that has these two things going on in my life, how do I leverage the tools and the resources out there to learn more, do more? And it all starts with reflection.
I could not have, with confidence, started this goal if I had not started taking financial literacy workshops through an organization and a coworker at my former job, 2018 and 2019. Not so much to unlearn, so much as to, it started with seeing GoFundMe pages for funeral costs on Facebook, and it was breaking my heart. I was making funeral programs for people. And I started saying, how could we make people more aware of just life insurance or just that level of security for their families? And so I just took that one class, which turned into another class, which turned into an 8-month program that I got a certificate for. I believe that it is no coincidence that it is Financial Literacy Month and Poetry Month, because knowing that I cannot, for me, monetize my art, I'm unable to see anyone. My art is priceless to me. No one will be able to afford my rates, I promise you. The best we can do is monetize the vehicles with which we deliver that art. And I have 30 years of customer service experience trained by Pacific Bell. If there is one thing I can do is give good phone, the least I can do is take the breadth of my experience and the way in which I turn a phrase or can turn a phrase and monetize it in a way that is with respect to how I see it, me, and money.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't take advantage of what is coming down the pike with Elaine, I cannot tell you how much it empowered me to, without judgment, see the error in how I saw money, and without carrying the baggage of the judgment, move forward with a more healthy way of seeing it. Period.
So where can people follow you, Syl?
www.uprising-radio.com.
All right. Anywhere else?
Blalock, BLALOCK, scene.com. I am on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Vimeo, and also at those sites, more to follow. I'm on Uprising Radio on Facebook as well.
All right. So with that, I'm going to conclude our conversation on reflection and our monthly check-in in front of others, because we just love sharing our journey. We do. And you can follow me at Your Coach Elaine on Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm also on Facebook with a business page. So thank you for watching. And I will check in with my sister-in-law offline in a couple of hours this afternoon. Have a
Love you.
great Friday Eve, everybody.
Y'all, bye.
Bye. Thanks, Sil.
Bye, babe.